Hi, welcome everybody. So this class is prenatal yoga and birth skills, and we're going to look at a number of different ways that you can use natural pain techniques or natural comfort techniques in labour through yoga. Yoga is a great preparation for labour because it's uncomfortable, and you need to be with the sensations and breathe through them. So the question is, why? Why go through the pain of labour when you can have an epidural? And it's important to remember that there is a compassionate case for drugs at times, but mostly we can use our own resources to labour. And when we take on pharmaceutical pain relief, the birth, the labour generally becomes a medical event. And not a normal physiological event. So we talk about the cascade of intervention, where the very delicate balance of labour and the amazing way it is designed actually gets interrupted, and then one intervention leads to the next, which leads to the next. It's very rare that you have one intervention and nothing else follows. So this class is about that. It will be about 30 minutes long. I'd like to read you something to start off with. This is from one of my favourite books, Birthing from Within. You might be able to see it from there, by Pam England. And I'd like to read you The Pain and Power of Birth. It's important to realise that the pain and stress of normal labour are part of what keeps this natural process on track. Here's why you should think twice before trying to eliminate pain. The stress hormones produced in response to labour pain help protect your baby against hypoxia, insufficient oxygen, during labour, as well as preparing its lungs for breathing after it's born. Pain guides the mother. Commonly, the positions and activities she chooses for comfort are also those that promote good labour progress or help shift the baby into the right position for birth. Remove the pain and you kill that feedback mechanism. Removing pain also severes other feedback loops vital to normal labour and birth. Nerves in the cervix and later the pelvic floor muscles and vagina transmit stretching sensations as well as pain. These stretch receptors signal the pituitary to produce more oxytocin, which increases the tempo of the labour, causing further cervical dilatation and the urge to push. Numb the nerves with an epidural, and you also wipe out the positive feedback mechanism. There is much more to say, but we only have a short time. I've got stress balls here. They can be made out of layers. Got 5 layers here of balloons, and they're filled with rice. So very easy to make and can be really useful for labour. So you can squeeze them, you can tap, you can roll, you can do whatever you like with them. But what they do is they interrupt, by engaging the hands, they interrupt the major pain sensations that travel to the brain, which is called the pain gate theory. All right, come on to all fours. And just start to rock from side to side. Make circles with the hips and the shoulders. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose because it stops you hyperventilating in labour when you are in pain, maybe when you're frightened. And exhaling through the mouth because the mouth is a sphincter and it corresponds to the sphincters of the lower body, such as the cervix, even the buttocks. And so when the mouth is soft, that whole area, lower area, can be soft. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. This is a great position to labour in. First stage and second stage of labour. So when you're in labour and your cervix is dilating, this is a great position. And also when you push your baby out, this is a great position. Now from there, I'd like you to tuck your toes under, walk the hands in and sit back on your heels and be with the sensations. So notice the sensations. They're probably in your feet, in your big toes, maybe in the soles of your feet. Rather than running away from the sensation, panicking, what can I do with this sensation? Oh my God, it's awful. Settle with it. Recognize it. It is just a sensation, and it's part of what's happening with your body. We don't need to be frightened of it. Yeah, it's just a sensation because you're stretching your feet. The sensations in labor are around the tummy, the uterus, maybe the lower back, maybe the tops of the thighs, and you're experiencing them because your uterus is contracting, which it's a big muscle. That's what it's meant to do. Deep inhalation through the nose, deep exhalation through the mouth. Notice how you start to tense against the pain. The shoulders go up, the hands start to tense, and you just think, oh my God, get me out of this. So how do we deal with the mind in labor? Come on to all fours. So one thing we know about contractions, they don't last for very long. They might last for a minute, maybe a bit longer as you're progressing through labor towards the end of that first stage of labor. So you only have to get through that 1 minute, that 1 unit of strong sensation. There are different ways to help you get through that. Tuck the toes under, walk the hands back in, and use the stress balls this time. You can use anything you've got in the house. You can squeeze anything, material, that plastic bubble wrap is great. You can bang, deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Smile because it releases endorphins. Your mind thinks everything is okay if you smile. And then soon enough, that minute of the contraction is over. And you will never have to do it again because that contraction's over. That contraction closer to your baby, that contraction that is done and will never need to be done again. Make circles with the hips and the shoulders. Blow out. Find a point to gaze at the mat down between your hands and focus your gaze there and blow out. One last time. Let's try something else. Let's try sound. So about 90% of women will make sound in labor. Even if you're a very quiet person, you probably will. You could rub your hands as well, because that, again, interrupts the pain sensations that go to the brain, and you can make a sound. Make sure the sounds are with an open mouth, an ahs or ohs, and the mouth is really relaxed, the jaw is relaxed. Let's do one more. And come on to all fours. Again, a contraction that you've done that you will never have to do again. All right, I'm going to get you to come and lie on your side. So I'll talk a little bit about this session. Take your blanket, it comes off the shelf looking like this. Fold it into two and into two again. If you don't have yoga blankets, it really doesn't matter. Use something from home. Excuse me, I need a tissue. It's a cold, cold day in Melbourne. All right, now from there, I would like you to start with either a blanket between the thighs, again a fourfold, excuse me, or a cushion or a bolster. And you're going to take that blanket between your thighs, come on to lying on your side. So this series of Pilates exercises is particularly good if you've got an unstable pelvis. You've got pelvic joints that are a bit unstable because of all of the relaxin in the body when you're pregnant, excuse me, and you start to get pain down the buttock, back of the leg maybe, or inner thigh. So these particular exercises are really good for that. So I'd like you to inhale through the nose and exhale and squeeze the legs into the blanket. You can do it on your side, or you could do it on your back. If you're not, I would say, not over about 25 weeks, you could do it on your back. You don't want to spend a lot of time on your back when you're over about 25 weeks. So you might lie on the side, start on the right side, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, squeeze the legs into the blanket, lift the pelvic floor muscles up.
floor muscles up. Inhale and release. Exhale and squeeze. Draw the pelvic floor muscles up away from your throat. Inhale and release. Exhale and squeeze. Draw the pelvic floor muscles up. If you're not quite sure how to do that, think about when you're going to go to the toilet or you're sitting on the toilet and you stop yourself breathing with close, those are your pelvic floor muscles. Draw them up, hold them up, and then slowly release them.
Take the blanket out. Knees together, feet together. You're going to do clams.
As you exhale, lift the left knee away from the right knee. Keep the feet together and slowly release the knees, the left knee down to the right. Exhale, draw the pelvic floor muscles up, lift the left knee up, and inhale and slowly release. Exhale, lift the pelvic floor muscles, lift the left knee up, and slowly release. Release the pelvic floor, release the legs. Exhale and lift. Inhale and release. One last time. Exhale and lift. And inhale and release.
Now, from there, straighten both legs out with the toes pointing forward.
Not up towards the ceiling, but forward. You might want to bend the right knee if you feel a bit unstable. Otherwise, sit together. Lift the pelvic floor muscles. Exhale to lift, toes pointing forward. And inhale to lower. And exhale to lift. And inhale to lower. You'll notice that, I'm not turning my toes up. I could go up much further if I did that. But I want to access these muscles here, these outer hip muscles. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Once more, exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Then take your knuckles and just rub those outer hip muscles. And from there,
come up or just roll over onto your other side. So I'll put my blanket to the other side so you can see what I'm doing. So you're lying on your left side this time. And once more, you'll come into clams. I'll talk you through it. First of all, you're going to do the knee squeezes. Here. So we'll do 5 of these. Just make sure, have a look at your hips. Your hips are in line with your shoulders and your knees are just in front of your hips. Right hand to the floor firmly to give you balance. And inhale, as you exhale, squeeze the knees into the blanket, lift the pelvic floor muscles. Exhale to release. And go again. Squeeze. And exhale to release. Squeeze, lift the pelvic floor muscles. Exhale to release. Squeeze, lift the pelvic floor muscles. Exhale to release. I believe one more. Squeeze. And exhale and release. Take that blanket out. We'll go to clams, 5 of these. Knees together, feet together. Inhale as you exhale, lift. Lift the pelvic floor muscles and hold. Now slow release, right knee to left knee, slow release. As you lift the right knee up, don't let the pelvis roll back. You're still trying to keep the right pelvis, the right ilium above the left ilium. So it's just an action of these glute medius, glute minimus muscles that stabilize the pelvis. You're not trying to doesn't need to go high there. You just want to activate these muscles. Exhale to lift the pelvic floor muscles. Inhale to release. And once more, exhale to lift. And inhale to release. Straighten out both legs. If you feel unstable, you can bend up that left knee. Otherwise, straighten out both legs. And keep the toes of the right foot pointing forwards. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift the pelvic floor muscles. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. 2 more. Exhale to lift the pelvic floor muscles. Inhale to lower. Last one, exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Take your hand, rub your knuckles into your gluteal muscles, or small gluteal muscles, and then bend up your knees and bring yourselves up and come into forward virasana. Now, I should have said from the beginning, probably really good to have a couple of blocks handy, a couple of blankets, a belt, and if possible, stress balls. If you have some, or if you've made some, you can probably buy them online. You're going to take your block on your mat, come into kneeling with the big toes touching and the knees quite wide so you have space for your baby. So really, when you're on your yoga mat, when you're pregnant, you always make space for your baby. There are two of you on your mat. Walk the hands forwards and bring the forehead down onto the block. And if you find it compressive in any way, then you'll need to lift the block up. So you could take the block onto its second height, so you have lots of space for your baby. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Curl the buttocks back towards the heels. And then walk the hands in. From there, tuck your toes under. Actually, let's come up a different way. Raise your right foot up, tuck the toes of your left foot under and spiral all the way up to standing. Lovely. Okay, let's start with an Uttanasana. The focus of this session is a little towards if you do have an unstable pelvis. So with an unstable pelvis, it's good to avoid squatting. It's good to avoid these big movements out of the car. It's good to avoid wide leg standing poses. So we won't do those today. From there, exhale and fold forwards. Bring your hands onto your blocks. Keep your hips over the line of your ankles. So don't sit back or sit forwards with your hips. The legs are vertical. Lift up through the back of the legs, lift up high, tall. Lengthen forwards through the front of the body. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Now notice where the intensity is. It might be in the back of both legs, it might be in the back of one leg, just observe. And rather than running away from that intensity, settle with it, recognize it. Yes, I can do this. That could be your affirmation. Yes, I can do this. My body was made for this. It's just sensation. Breathe with the sensation. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. So affirmations are one of the natural comfort techniques that is very useful in labor. All of these comfort techniques now are researched, and certainly the breath, sound, interrupting the pain sensation that go to the brain, they all reduce pain levels. Bring your hands onto your hips and inhale and come up. All right, from there, let's go into a half dog to the wall. So put your blocks to one side, bring your hands at waist height, place your hands to the wall and step back into downward facing dog or half dog to the wall. So I'm making a box shape with the wall and the floor and my body. I want to really lengthen through the top of that box. I'm moving my hips back to lengthen and lifting up through the back of my legs. Once more, settle on the sensations. Where are they in your body? So locate the sensations. Otherwise, it could just feel overwhelming. Oh my God, I'm just in pain everywhere. Locate the sensation. It's much more manageable then. So it might be back of the right leg. And then use one adjective to yourself to name it. Is it sharp? Is it throbbing? Is it just a stretch? Does it ache? So just one adjective. Back of the leg, sharp. Breathe with it. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. This stops us getting just sort of overwhelmed by the sensation. And then bend the knees, inhale, and come up. I'd like you to take your 2 blocks for downward facing dog. Now, if you're towards the end of pregnancy and downward facing dog feels really heavy, you know, you come into downward facing dog and the weight of the baby is pressing on the diaphragm and it's hard to breathe, then perhaps downward dog is not for you at the moment. But otherwise, downward dog can safely be done until the end of pregnancy, until you birth. Take 2 blocks. You're going to take the narrow edge of the block against the wall. It just helps you lift a bit more easily into downward facing dog. Bend the knees and come into forward virasana with the hands on the blocks and hook the heels of the hands on the edge of the blocks so that the hands don't slide. Inhale to come up. Exhale, tuck your toes under, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. If this is too much, you can stay with half dog to the wall. Elongate the arms up into the shoulders. Draw the arms back into the shoulder sockets. Push the hands into the blocks to bring the chest back away from the wall. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Press your thighs back. Bend the knees to the floor. Forward virasana. Once more, inhale and come up. Tuck your toes under, lift the hips up towards the ceiling. This can also be a great position if your baby is in posterior breach and you're trying to encourage your baby to turn. Downward facing dog can be a good pose if you could stay here a little bit. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Push your hands into the blocks to bring the chest back away from the wall. And then bend the knees to the floor. Forward virasana. And walk the hands back in. All right. From there, come up to standing, and we're going to do a couple of standing poses. And I thought that we might time a standing pose and see how we go. If you think that contractions are about a minute, then time yourself in some of these tricky poses or more challenging poses. Excuse me. All right. So let's do a minute. There we go. So stand about a foot away from the wall, maybe a bit more. You know, really I want the length of my thigh. And then I'm going to sit my buttocks back towards the wall and bring my hips down so that they're in line with my knees. If that's too much, then don't go down so far. And particularly if you've got a lot of pelvic pain, I wouldn't go down quite so far. Ready, steady, go. Let's go for a minute. Let's rub the hands on the thighs. Let's do the things that we've talked about so far. Notice where the sensation is in the body and name it to yourself. So right thigh, ache. Deep inhalation through the nose, deep exhalation through the mouth. Really blow the air out. Rub the hands. You might want to make some sound. You might want to use an affirmation. There you go. That's your minute. You didn't even have time for an affirmation there. So you can see that a minute isn't terribly long. So it's about preparing the mind to get through that minute. And then you have a break. The body gives you a break. Labour is very clever. It's set up so that you succeed, so that you have this baby safely. That's how we've survived all these thousands of years. So trust your body, trust the process. It is really a great process if we trust the body, and we have good healthcare professionals that also trust our bodies. That's really important. And of course, your partner or whoever's there, trust your body. All right, we're going to do a couple of standing poses. Triangle pose. Take the outer edge of the left foot to the wall, step the right foot out so that you have a leg length between the feet. Roll the shoulders back. Turn the whole right leg out 90 degrees with the right heel in line with the center of your back foot. Raise the arms. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation as you reach out over your right leg. Bring your right hand down to hold your ankle or your shin or wherever you can reach. Just check you're not leaning forwards. Press your right buttock forwards and bring your shoulder over the line of your knee. And now turn your chest. Turn your chest towards the left. Turn your left shoulder back and raise the top arm towards the ceiling. If your neck is sore, look forwards. Keep both legs straight. It is a hamstring stretch, this pose. It is a twist, this pose. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Notice where the intensity is. Notice if the mind is becoming negative. Let that go. Settle with the breath. Use the breath as your focus. Inhale and come up. Turn the toes of your right foot in. Step the feet back towards each other and turn to go to the other side. Outside edge of your right foot to the wall. Step the left foot out so that you have a leg length between your feet. Turn your whole left leg out 90 degrees with the left heel in line with the center of your back foot. Raise the arms, raise your right arm up the wall. Inhale as you exhale, reach out over to your left. Once more, turn your left chest towards the ceiling. Press your left buttock forwards, raise the top arm towards the ceiling. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Press into your back foot, inhale and come up. Turn the toes in and step the feet back. Tadasana, big toes touching, inner heels touching. Roll your shoulders back and extend your fingertips down towards the floor. Oof. Okay, so let's just backtrack a moment. If you have an unstable pelvis, then have your feet together. If your pelvis is fine in pregnancy, have the feet hip distance apart. It supports the pelvis much more sort of solidly, if you like, much more stable. But really, if your pelvis is already unstable, bring the feet together. From there, Badanguliasana. Clasp your fingers, press the hands forwards, raise the arms up. Press the palms towards the ceiling, lift up through the back of the body, strongly through the back of the body, strongly through the sides of the body towards the hands. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Bring the hands down to eye height, turn the palms towards you, change the cross of your fingers, the other little finger is at the bottom. Press the hands forwards, draw the elbows in. Deep inhalation as you take the arms up. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Bring the hands down, turn the palms towards you and release the arms all the way down. Let's go into Parsvottanasana. So take your two blocks on their highest height and take them about half the way down your mat. Step your feet back towards the wall. Turn the toes of your left foot out about 20 degrees. Step your right foot forwards so that you have a leg length between your feet. Hook your thumb, left thumb, to the back of your left hip and turn your left buttock forwards. Have a look at the alignment of your feet, that it's right heel to left heel or even wider when you're pregnant. If you need to go broader so that you have that solidity. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest up, take the head back to look at the ceiling. Exhale to fold forwards. As you fold forwards, turn the left hip forwards. and bring the hands down onto the blocks. Now you may be on the fingertips, that's fine. Or you might have the hands flat, but you want the back of your pelvis to be even. You know, I can feel here that my left hip is higher than my right. So I'm going to draw the right leg back in the hip socket. It's a strong hamstring stretch to give myself the space now to turn the left hip down towards the floor and lengthen my chest forwards. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Press into your back foot, inhale and come up. Step the left foot forwards. Take the right heel back to the wall. Again, alignment, left heel to right heel, or you might even go broader if you're feeling really unstable there. Hook the right thumb at the back of the right hip and turn the right hip forwards. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, and exhale as you fold forwards. Keep the right heel pressing back against the wall, coming forwards. Draw the left leg back into the hip socket and turn the right hip away from the left hip. Now, if that is just too much for your hamstrings, you could use a chair here. Whoops. So you could grab your chair. So that from here, you can hold on to the chair and it's not so strong on the hamstrings. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Breathe into the intensity. Notice as you stay and as you breathe into the intensity and as you don't let your mind run away from the sensations or say, I hate this, I can't do it, get into all that negative thinking. You just settle, you breathe, and you use the sensation as your focus. It's a bit like a meditation. Bend the front knee and step the right foot forwards and come up. And release. I'm going to go once more into half Uttanasana. So stand with the feet hip distance apart, with the outer edges of your feet parallel. Hold your blocks. Exhale to fold forwards. Hands underneath the line of the shoulders. Feet underneath the line of the hips, and look forwards with the chest. From the bottom of the breastbone, lengthen forwards towards the collarbones. Lift up through the back of the legs, deep inward, deep outward breath. And then bend the knees, inhale and come up. Just going to do a couple of sitting poses before we do relaxation. So take, put your blocks to one side. You will need a belt and you'll possibly need more than one blanket depending on how many weeks pregnant you are. Start with a threefold. Comes off the shelf looking like this. Fold it into three. And you're going to start sitting on your blanket with the feet about hip distance apart. Now, if there's a lot of pressure down here, you know, if your baby's quite low or, you know, you're quite advanced in your pregnancy, you'll need to sit up higher. So here I'm putting another blanket on. So you can see it brings my belly up and my legs lower. So I've got more space here. Again, always make space for your baby. From there, you're going to bring your fingertips to the floor, or you can bring your hands back onto your blankets if you want to. Go up with the spine, press your thighs down towards the floor, and extend into your heels. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest up. Deep inward, deep outward breath. If actually, let's go into a slight variation of this. So I'll turn my blankets around. Now from here, I'm going to shift my buttocks towards the right side of my blanket and fold my right knee back into Virasana. So I have both, I still have both buttocks on the blankets, and my right shin is folded back. And once more, fingers beside the hips. I'm going to press the back of the thigh towards the floor and extend into the heel and lift up through the spine. Deep inward, deep outward breath. You've got a belt there somewhere. You could hook or lasso your foot, hold onto the belt and lift up. Push the foot towards the belt. Pull back on the belt to go up a bit more with the spine. And exhale and release. So you can see that my back is really lifted. The front of my body is at least as long as the back of my body, if not longer, to give the baby lots of space, to give your lungs lots of space so you can breathe more deeply. Go to the other side, straighten out your right leg, pull your blankets across a little. So this time the left knee is bent, the shin bone comes back, and the right leg is straight. Bring the hands onto the blankets or onto the floor. Press the back of the right thigh down to the floor and go up with the spine. And then take your belt and lasso your foot. Pull back on the belt to go up with the spine. Press the back of the thigh towards the floor. Deep inward, deep outward breath. Notice where the intensity is. Settle with it and find an affirmation, something to tell yourself, yes, this is okay. My body was designed for birth. I'm all right. I'm well supported. I'm loved. I'm birthing my baby. I trust my body. And exhale and release and stretch both legs out. So from here, you're going to come into relaxation. It's advised to lie on your left side when you do relaxation, because lying on the left side helps your baby get into an optimal position for labor. This doesn't really matter too much until you're about 35, 36 weeks pregnant. Even after then, babies turn all the time. But it's good to get into the habit of starting the night or starting your relaxation on your left side. So, really great if you have a bolster here. Take a blanket, comes off the shelf looking like this. Of course, you can use a pillow at home, fold it into 4, and then take a bolster. I'll put this in front because it's pretty cold here, and I might use it to put over my feet. So I'm going to lie, in fact, I'm definitely going to use it to put over my feet and legs. So make sure that you're warm when you do relaxation. You do get cold very quickly. Now, from here, I'm lying on my left side. I'm going to take my left leg straight. My right knee is bent. So as I mentioned, probably good not to spend a lot of time lying on your back after about 22 weeks of pregnancy. So here we are. And I can rest my top arm on the bolster. Close the eyes. We'll be here for a few minutes. Release the jaws, top jaw, the bottom jaw, release, relax. Relax the right shoulder down. Relax the skin on the inner thighs. Relax the skin on the soles of the feet. And bring to mind this amazing body of yours. This amazing body that was perfectly designed for birth ever since you were born. Everything's been developing so that you can birth a baby safely. Bring to mind that the vast majority of women can birth just with good support. They don't need intervention. They don't need lots of technology. They need a room, privacy, and good, loving support. Just bring to mind that every day your body is growing this baby, a perfect human being. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to press or pull any buttons. You don't have to do anything at all. You can go on with your daily life. You go to work, you do whatever you do. And your body is still growing your baby, cell by cell. And we trust our bodies mostly to grow our babies. We don't think about it too much. But when it comes to birth, suddenly we get frightened. Our bodies can't do it. You know, pushing a baby out is the easy bit. So just spend a minute or so feeling that deep trust in your heart that your body can grow this baby. Why on earth would the whole process fall down when it comes to the birth? Of course, it doesn't. So have that moment of deep trust. My body can birth. I know that my body is growing this baby. My body can birth this baby. There are elements I need to prepare in my pregnancy to get the very best outcome for me and my baby and my partner. I need good evidence-based information so I can make good decisions. I need to know what the choices are and the best choices for me. I need to know that it is my right to make the choices that I want to make. Fully your right. And your legal right too in Australia. So I need to have information. I need to have a plan. And I need to set myself up with really good support. So I need to find those people that are going to support my decisions, to align my needs, my wants with the care that I choose. And remember, care is your choice. There are many options here in Victoria that you can choose. And I need to grow my confidence. If I'm terrified of birth, that's going to get in the way of how my labour progresses. So I need to work on my own mind and heart. So as you're ready, slowly move your fingers and your toes. Open your eyes. Support yourselves to come up to sitting. Come to sitting cross-legged. Bring the palms together to namaste, to the center of the forehead and the heart, and bow the head to the heart, to the wisdom and compassion within. And release your hands. So if you want to know more about these classes, they happen in Footscray, in Melbourne, in Australia. And you can contact me at Vanessa Shribman, Iyengar Yoga. Thank you.